Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. This time we'll be talking about Heraclitus and Parmenides. Now, Heraclitus and Parmenides are usually presented as opponents in the history of philosophy. But we don't know if Heraclitus came in contact with the thought of Parmenides. Now, we have to see this opposition in the sense that their philosophical proposals contradict one another. Heraclitus was born in Ephesus, that's located on the western shores of the present Turkish territory. He was born in the 6th century before Christ and died at the beginning of the 5th century. Parmenides, on the other hand, was born at the end of the 6th century before Christ in the city of Elea, which is located in the southern Italy. Now, even though Heraclitus and Parmenides lived very close in time, the separation between them geographically was significant, so it's probably they didn't know each other. Heraclitus was known as the obscure due to the enigmatic meaning of many of his sayings. Now, Heraclitus was known for emphasizing the essential importance that movement had in reality. What distinguishes Heraclitus from the Milesians was that he saw movement as the primary component of all nature. The movement, which in philosophy is sometimes known as change, would express the intrinsic dynamic dimension of all things. In fact, we see that all things are constantly changing in their appearance. Heraclitus would say that the reason was that all things are harmony between different opposites in tension within oneself. Let us think, for example, of a young person of the age of 16. What he is now is a tension between childhood and adulthood. Heraclitus said that the basic element that underlies all of the world is fire, which, by its very dynamic nature, seems to reflect the best the changing aspect of reality. But not only this, fire, which makes up everything, is also the rational aspect of all cosmos. The human soul is fire. Whoa! With the use of reason, mankind can understand the logos in reality, which is also represented by fire. Now let us consider Parmenides' proposal. Now, Parmenides was also interested in the marvels of the physical world. He realized that despite the vast multiplicity of things in continuous dynamism, they nevertheless shared all of these things one thing in common. And so we arrive at one of the most essential notions in philosophy. Parmenides realized that all things are what? That all things are, in the sense of being, existence. Is this a great achievement of philosophy? Being? Like Hamlet?
To be or not to be? That is the question.
Well, yes, guys. That is, in fact, the question. Even though the term required many years to get clarified, Parmenides was the first one to use it with a certain accuracy. Now, let's take a closer look at what Parmenides wanted to say exactly with the notion of being. All things are. The horses, the trees are, we are. And this is a discovery of reason. It is with the intellect that we capture this fundamental equality between all things, a unity that is hidden from the senses, but that captures all the differences. But Parmenides continued reflecting on what his thesis implied, And he went so far as to say that whatever is, and that what is not, cannot be. Sounds like a riddle, eh? Or maybe a joke. But what Parmenides wanted to say is that being is. Now, once he came to this conclusion, he was forced to say that really nothing changed. Change is just an illusion, an unreal appearance. Things are, yes, but more properly, being is. Now, if being is, it is impossible that there are things that come to be. Change is impossible, because in change, either being comes from non-being or from being, but it cannot come from non-being, because out of nothing, nothing can come. But if it comes from being, then it already is. Then there isn't any generation, then it makes no sense to call it change. Yeah, guys, I know this is tough, but bear with me. This way, we'll get to understand Parmenides' conclusions. The change that the senses present must be deceptive because it is not explained how something can come to be or stop being what it is. If something is already something, it cannot stop being what it is, because whatever it is, if it changes, it continues being, then there is no change, since it would be what it was before. So we have, on the one hand, Heraclitus that tells us that reality is essentially dynamic, nature is in continuous movement because of the tension from the opposite within things. And on the other, we have Parmenides that states that nothing really changes and that there is no multiplicity. The only thing that he can say is, being is, and there is only being. The attempt to reconcile or decide on one of these two doctrines is the main feature of the successive Greek philosophy. These two thinkers are undoubtedly two of the most important presocratic philosophers in themselves and for the further development of philosophy. Thank you so much for being with us, guys. I hope you liked the video. Remember, if you're interested in knowing more, go down the description. We'll leave those files there so you can keep on study on Parmenides and Heraclitus. Stay tuned for upcoming videos and we'll see you next time. Guys, have a good day.